Hi Year 10, this is a little video just to show you how to do factorising. So hopefully by now you've practiced your expanding. So here's an example of an expansion. If you remember, there's a term on the outside like 2, and then there's brackets, and then there's 2 terms on the inside like x plus 5. We multiply the 2 by the x to get 2 times x, which equals 2x over here. And then we go 2 times 5, which we write out like that, which gives us 2 times 5 is 10. Now that's called expanding. But what we're doing today is we're doing the opposite. We are doing factorising. Down here, let me see if I can move that up, there we go. You need to know that factorising is the opposite of expanding. Now what did we do when we expanded? Hopefully you noticed we multiplied. So, what's the opposite of multiplying? Well, hopefully you answered dividing. Hey, so you are correct. So when we factorise, okay, our answer should look like this. Now, if you remember, that's what a question looked like when we were expanding, doesn't it? So now what you need to do is your answer should look like 2 brackets x plus 5. Okay? So just so you know, the expanded form will be when you have 2 terms like 2x plus 10, and the factorised form, or the factorised answer that you need to get, is when you start off with the brackets. The highest common factor is outside the brackets, and the 2 terms that are left are on the inside of the brackets. Okay, so here, when we factorise, we're going to divide both terms by the highest common factor. Now I'm going to give you that for a moment because some of you might want to pause here and write that down in your book. So when you're ready, just start the video again. Okay, so now I'll show you how to do a couple of questions. So in Google Classroom, I've asked you to have a go at question 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 from your textbook, which is also on Google Classroom. So I'm going to go over how to do each of them. So question 4 is asking you to find the highest common factor of 10 and 15y. Right, here are my tips. Highest common factor. For the number, it's the highest number that you can think of that goes into both terms. If we're looking for the highest common factor and it's a letter, it's the same letter that's in both terms. Alright, let's have a go. Alright, so the first one is 10 and 15y. You'll notice they both have a letter, but only one of them, I'll say that again. They both have a number, but only one of them has a letter. So we're going to do the numbers in this case. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. Okay, so I'm looking at the numbers 10 and 15. I'll get a different colour. So look at 10 and 15. What's the biggest number you can think of that goes into 10 and 15? Hopefully you said 5. And if you did, you're correct. Okay? Right, let's try this one over here. 8a, pardon me, and 40ab. So let's look at the numbers first. So to find the highest common factor of the numbers, you say, what's the biggest number I can think of that can go into 8 and also 40? Sometimes it's the number that's already there. So if you can say to yourself, does 8 go into 40? And 8 times 5 is 40. So therefore your highest common factor will be 8. Now in this case we've got a letter with the 8a and we've got 2 letters with the 40ab. So we've got to look at the letters as well. The letter that's the same in both terms will also be included in the highest common factor. So what letter is in both? Hopefully you said A. So that's your highest common factor. Alright, so that's how you do question 4. Can you go and have a go at A, C, E, G, I think I've written in Google Classroom. Here's question 5 when you're ready. If you want to pause and have a go at 4, please do so. So in question 5, again, you are being asked to factorise. So if you remember, to factorise, that means you have got to get brackets in your answer. So that means I've got to find something to put on the outside of the brackets. That's my HCF. And then I've got to find something to put inside my brackets. So look at my 2 terms first of all. One's a 4x, the other one's an 8. So look at the numbers. Pardon me. What number, the biggest number you can think of, goes into 4 and 8. Now remember, look at the smallest number 4. Does it go into 8 evenly? If your answer is yes, then you're going to put that 4 out the front there. Okay. Now, do you remember how I said factorising is the same as dividing? So what you're actually doing here is you're going to divide this term by 4, and you're going to divide this term by 4. And that's how we work out what goes here and what goes here. So if I do 4x divided by 4, remember if the same number is on the top and on the bottom, you can cancel them out. What are you left with? Hopefully you said x. Next one, 8 divided by 4. How many 4s fit into 8? Hopefully you said 2. What's the sign in the middle? It's a minus, so put a minus in. That's it. Okay? All right, let's try the next one. Let me get my red pen back. Okay. So again, I have to factorise, so I've got to put something out the front, and I've got to put something inside my brackets, 2 things inside my brackets. So I have to say to myself, right, let's look at the numbers first. 36 and 48, they're bigger numbers. Can you think of the biggest number you can that will go into 36 and also 48? I'll just get my calculator and double check because I haven't done the answers yet. Now, I know 4 goes into both of those, but I've got a funny feeling both of those are also in the 12 times tables. So, yep, I'm going to check, and 12 goes into both of those 2 numbers. So I'm going to write 12 on the outside. So now my next step is to divide 36 by 12. And don't forget the x, my bad. And the 48y by 12. Now, how many 12s in 36? Hopefully you said 3. So I'm going to put a 3 on the inside of the brackets. Don't forget the letter x. Okay? And now I'm going to do 48 divided by 12. Hopefully you know 4 12s are 48. And 12 goes into 48 4 times, and I'm left with a y. Now, don't forget the sign that's in the middle needs to be written down in between those 2 terms. So there's my answer. I'll write them out so it's nice and neat. 4 brackets x minus 2 is my answer there. And 12 brackets 3x minus 4y is my answer there. Okay, how's that so far? All right, let's try these ones. Let's factorise these. So as we go, we might need to take more things out. So let's have a go. So I need something out the front and 2 things on the inside. So let's have a look. Look at the numbers first. What's the number that goes into 6 and 15? Now, if I look at the smaller number 6, it doesn't go into 15, does it? Not evenly. So I need a smaller number than 6. So I can think of 2 times 6, 2 times 3, I beg your pardon, makes 6. So I can use either 2 or 3. Now, 15, if I have 15, I don't get a whole number, do I? So it's not going to be divided by 2. So I'm going to use the 3, because I know 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to put a 3 outside the brackets. So that means one of the things I'm going to divide this one by is 3. I haven't left myself a lot of room there, have I? That was silly. Now look at the letters. What letter is the same here that's also here? Hopefully you said B. So you need to take the B outside. So when you get to question 6, you're going to have to look for a number and a letter to take out. So I'm going to put a B on the bottom of the fraction. So now I'm going to say to myself, looking at the first fraction, how many 3's fit into 6? Hopefully you said 2. So I'm going to write a 2 as part of my first term. Now I have a B on the top and a B on the bottom, so I cancel them out. What am I left with? I'm left with A. So write the A down. Do the same for the next one. How many 3's fit into 15? Hopefully you said 5. And then there's a B on the top and a B on the bottom, so they cancel out. So I don't write any letter at all. What's in between the 2 terms? It's a minus. So I'm going to put a minus in. So if I write that a little bit neater, my answer is... Oh, sorry, I'm going to cough. Sorry about that. 3B, open brackets, 2A minus 5. All right, let's try this one. Okay, 9x squared minus 6x. How much room do I have? There we go. All right, I'll move this down a bit. So I need something. See, I haven't talked for so long. I can't stop coughing. And then something and something inside the brackets. So look at the numbers, 9 and a 6. 6 won't go into 9 evenly. So what's another number that goes into 9 and 6? I think it's 3. What letter is the same in both? Hopefully you notice it's an X. So let's divide both. Oh, I'm going to cough again. By 3x. Let's see if I can get this through this for you. 3 goes into 9 3 times. Now remember, x squared means there's 2 x's, doesn't it? So I can cross off this x with one of those x's. So that leaves me with an x. Next term. How many 3's in 6? Hopefully you said 2. And cross off an x on the top and an x on the bottom. And I don't need to write anything next to the 2. In between the 9x squared and the 6x is a minus. If I want to write that out a bit prettier, it will look like that. All right, let's see if I can get through 7b. All right, now sometimes when you get to question 7, sorry about that, got some fluff on there, you need to have, or in this case you've got 2 negatives. And what they like you to do, and that might say at the beginning of the question, is to take out the negative factor. So that means they want you to put a minus with your first factor that you take out. Okay? So if you look at the numbers only, 4 and 8, what's the number that goes into 4 and 8? Does 4 go into 8? Yes, it does. So I'm going to take out negative 4. Now this is where your negative and positive rules really come in. So here's my brackets. Remember your rules. A negative times a negative is a positive. Positive times a negative is a negative. And vice versa, a negative times a positive is a negative. So you need to know those. All right. So if I divide this one by negative 4, what's a negative and a negative? Hopefully you said it's a positive. So I can write a positive there, or I just don't have to write it in at all. Remember that? 4 goes into 4 once. Negatives cross out. I'm left with just the A. Right, now I'm going to divide this one by negative 4 as well. Now what I need you to do is divide the whole thing, negative 8, by the negative 4, because something's going to happen to our little sign that goes in the middle. Now do you remember what a negative and a negative is? Hopefully you remember this one. It's a positive. So that means I'm going to put my positive in the middle. Okay, that's going to be my sign. And I say how many 4's fit into 8? And hopefully you say 2. So if I rewrite that, my answer now becomes negative 4a plus 2. Watch out for question 7. They're a bit tricky. Right, let's try L. So I need a negative something, and then brackets, and then another set of brackets. All right, let's have a go. So let's look at both of the terms. I've got a 15 and a 5. Look at the number first. What's the number that goes into 15 and 5? Does 5 go into 15, the bigger number? Yes, it does. So let's write 5. Now look at the letters. One's an A squared, one's an A. A squared just means AA. AA. So that means you can take one of the A's out. Okay? So now to figure out what goes on the inside, I have to divide both of my terms by negative 5a. So let's do this one first. Negative and a negative, cross out. Negative and a negative gives a positive. You can put a plus in there if you want. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Now remember, a squared means AA, so I can cross off one of the A's with one of those A's. So that leaves me with an A. Okay, let's do the second one now. This one here. What's a negative and a negative give me again? Hopefully you remember it's a positive. Now here I've got 5a over 5a. What's anything divided by itself? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. A divided by a is 1. So 5a divided by 5a is good old 1. So if I write that out neatly, minus 5a equals 3a plus 1. Nearly done. Okay, let's have a quick go at question 8, just in case you want to do some extras. So if I have to factorise this one, I've got to find something to go out the front and something to go on the inside. Now there's lots of numbers and terms on this one, so this one might take a bit more time. Let's look at the numbers first. Number 4 and 20. Does 4, the smaller number, go into the bigger number 20 evenly? Hopefully you said yes. So let's write down 4. Let's look at the letters. Now what letter is exactly the same? Well, 4a squared b and 20a squared both have an a squared. So I must write down a squared. Okay? The biggest or the most letters that are repeated, I must write them all down. So now I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying. I'm going to divide. So 4a squared b over 4a squared. The 4's cancel out and the a squareds cancel out. What am I left with? A b. Very bad b. Okay, and again 20a squared over 4a. 4 goes into 20 how many times? Hopefully you said 5. And a squared goes into a squared once, so there's no letters left. There's a plus in the middle, so I put a plus in the middle. There you go, lovelies. There's my answers to all of chapter exercise, what is it? 3D. There's question 4. And there's question 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, go and have a go now, please, at the textbook work. It's on Google Classroom. Bye now.